Good evening and greetings. Welcome to another edition of Full Disclosure here on Tobago Updates. I am your host, Terrence Baines, and we are thankful that we have been afforded yet another opportunity to use this medium, use this platform to discuss matters that we deem to be pertinent, matters that we think very, very important to the public, and we have been very, very encouraged by the conversations that we have been able to engage. For the most part, even the interactions on the live has been very, very useful. We have had a few delinquents here and there, and we made the point of saying that last week that we will not tolerate there are some comments that can only come from a debilitated mind, in my view, despicable individuals that will come on a live and make some kind of comments here, whether it is behind a fake profile, knowing that they may not be held culpable yet. And so we want to discourage that and so on. We are making sure that those comments do not remain on the live, and the individuals behind that we try to see if we could block them completely from the conversation, because they seem to don't have the constitution to engage in something that is civil and useful. Nonetheless, generally this has been a very informative program, and I suspect that tonight it will be informative as well. We got off to a few minutes late in our start tonight, but we are going to have a good program. Our guest tonight is the Secretary for Agriculture, and I will not risk to call the other parts of the portfolio because I think this particular division has the longest portfolio in the history of the THA. But it speaks nothing less about the capacity of the Secretary and the kind of work that she has been doing. Our theme tonight is the snail fight. And we're going to engage that conversation and engage it thoroughly, and some other matters that we think are pertinent. So we want you to stay where you are. Tag a friend, invite a friend to be a part of the program. The information is going to be useful and so on. We're going to take a break, and we will be right back to engage what I deem to be a very, very uplifting and informative conversation. Secretary Natisha Pantin joins me in a bit, and we shall engage. Stay right there.
Won't somebody just scream, revive us!
Revive us!
Glow Nation on Saturday, 16th September. Experience a revival featuring Grammy Award winner Ty Tribbett and his full band. My God is enough. Glow Fest, all at Sure Park Complex, Tobago, alongside Ezekiel, Chantel Lindsay, Gates Praise, Mark Isaacs, and Blessed Messenger. Showtime 6 p.m. Doors open at 5 p.m. Early bird tickets $200. Group of 10 pay $250 each. General admission $300. At the door $350. Children under 10 free. Tickets available at Sure Park Complex box office. Dominion Appliances, Scipio Trace Canby, Pablo's Supermarket Argyle, Diesel's Tile and Ceiling Center Bon Accord, Isaac 98.1 FM Port of Spain, Ario Auto El Socorro, Evansa Jewelers Chaguanas, and online at tovatickets.com. For more info, follow Glow Entertainment TT on Facebook and Instagram. On Saturday, 16th September, Sure Park Complex, Tobago. The revival is coming. A praise and worship encounter. Experience the worship. Experience the praise. Glow Fest.
Mount Pleasant Credit Union Back to School Loan Promotion. Loans up to $15,000. Requirements: job letter and a payslip no more than 1 month old. Utility bill, copy of book list, salary deduction, 10% down payment. For self-employed persons, evidence of income and expenditure, bank statement, 12 to 18 months. Other supporting document. Promotion ends October 18. Contact us at 639-8375 or 8108, or check us out on www.mpcutobago.com or email us at loan@mpcutobago.com. Mount Pleasant Credit Union's Back to School Loan Promotion.
Welcome back, and for those of you now joining us, good night and welcome to Full Disclosure here on Tobago Updates. And I am your host, Terrence Baines, and I have been joined by the hard working, I can't emphasize hard enough, because it is the truth. She works very, very hard. I mean, there's always something happening in the division of agriculture and food security and all the other things that is added to the portfolio. With me tonight is Secretary Natisha Pantin. And Secretary, good night and welcome.
Good evening to you. Good evening, Tobago.
Yes, looking all colorful and spliffy.
Thank you.
So, Sec, you know, when we like to start the program with some current affairs and what happening in the space and some of this stuff not too heavy, just kind of having a perspective on stuff. And I think the front burner issue right now is the replacement ferry that has come to us. And last week we had a conversation. I remember when somebody posts a picture of the cargo boat on Facebook, and there were different thoughts and so on. I called one of the senior officers at the Port Authority to ask whether to check the veracity of the story, of course, and so on. And yes, this is the image there, right? Although the present one I see yesterday, like they painted up, man, it looked painted up, yes. But and I remember she was saying to me that she didn't definitively say yes or no, you know, granted, and so on. So we didn't go in pressing hard in case it was not so. But the fact of the matter is, this is the replacement. Bridgemans, who we are told, according to the report from last week, there was a press conference and so on. Bridgeman was the company who owns the Cabo Star, and they were saddled with the responsibility to find a replacement, a temporary replacement until the Cabo Star is back up. They gave timelines last week about all the fixes that need to take place on the Cabo Star, and it will take us about 3 to 4 weeks, if I'm not mistaken, for it to be back up and running and so on. We know what 3 to 4 weeks without having the kind of cargo load that we are accustomed to in Tobago. We can only just imagine the implications of that and so on.
Correct.
Right? I mean, what are your thoughts, if any? I mean, without, you know, about just based on what you know already.
On the entire issue.
Yes.
Well, I'll tell you something. While we all agree that it is unacceptable, we have to look at the opportunities that are open to us here in Tobago. And we are seeing where there's a food crisis, people put it a food crisis per se. And how ready were we as Tobagonians? We will, you know, how ready are we prepared in the event of a crisis? Right. And what I can say is that I am very proud of this administration and its guidance in terms of ensuring that we have food on the island as it relates to poultry, livestock, you know, a lot of the food stuff that we would have been focusing on and getting all the hard licks on, that we were prepared in the event of this crisis.
That's a serious point you're making. One of the things that made me smile is immediately there was an ad from TADCO.
Correct.
You know, and I mean, TADCO has had some things happening. I have gone there and there's meat madness week before last week. You understand?
And you know, usually scarcity would drive up prices. And TADCO did not take advantage of any consumer in the time of crisis. They remained below market price. You got 4 chickens, whole chickens, for $120. And there were a myriad of deals happening all throughout. And I want Tobagonians to understand how tough this battle is, right? This administration, we have been trying really hard to transform Tobago, to provide the kind of leadership that Tobagonians want in order to ensure that we have food on the island and a lot of amenities. But we continue to fight against, I want to put it in terms that, you know, Pastor Baines, I call him Pastor Baines, would understand. We're fighting against principalities and powers and spiritual wickedness in high places, yeah?
I hear that.
But God is good.
Indeed.
He has been good.
Indeed. And you know, that's an important point. We don't need any more evidence to prove to us that there are persons in the places of position who make these decisions, particularly about movement between the islands, do not exercise the kind of sensitivity and care that we think that they should. That is understood. So we don't have to belabor that point. And so now this is the situation. How do we, as a people, and as you just said, because with even with disappointments and hardship, opportunities present themselves.
Correct.
You understand what I'm saying?
Correct.
So
You're saying it. So while people busy having my name on text message and my staff's name, our division, our staff, we have been working feverishly to ensure that this island had food.
Right.
And we will continue to work for the benefit of Tobagonians.
Sure.
I don't think that we should be politicizing several things in this space besides healthcare, food. And we will continue with our mandate under the Division of Food Security.
Right. I mean, properly, well put it, man. Well put it. So I think there is a lesson from this. There is a word in all of this, you know, that the average Tobagonian that provides a service. Now, we know that some sectors of the Tobago economy depend solely on the movement.
Correct.
You understand?
Correct.
For instance, the hardwares, for instance.
Correct.
You know, because we don't provide those kind of material that the hardwares need and so on. So the hardwares, you know, I had a conversation. I sought a conversation to get some feedback rather from the president of the Tobago Chamber. You know, because I know they had a press conference. I believe it was yesterday, if I'm not mistaken, or today. But they had a press conference to kind of share what was happening and so on. And of course, one of the things that he pointed out was that the current revenue turnaround in Tobago has been affected, and rightfully so, right? But and he gave some percentages here. He was saying that the hardwares would hardest hit, understandably so. You know, the revenue stream like about by 75%, food and beverage 60%, and so on. But I shudder to think what the scenario would have been like without the support of the work that TADCO and the division has been doing. Correct. And so on. So this, what appeared to be a letdown and crisis, if you want, presents an opportunity for us to really see. It is a litmus test as well. Correct. To see what we produce and so on, and what we can produce, you know, and whether or not we're up to the task.
Correct.
You understand?
Yeah.
Because this matter of autonomy, nobody's going to give us that. That is something that we have to fight tooth and nail to get.
For that.
You understand? And so that's why we're having these conversations about the battle and all that kind of thing. So last week, in all honesty, Secretary, when I saw the thing, I say, boy, you know, you will expect that people would have some foresight and they will think, because Tobago is not, the entire population of Tobago does not hold the same political allegiance or views.
Correct.
You understand? So
Correct.
it's not like, you know, if in truth and in fact there is some spite or some ill will, it is not just affecting the people that you have the ill will towards. There
Correct.
are people who may support your political philosophy as well. Correct. That are affected by all of this. So I think, and I take the point, and that is what I want to take away from all of this without delving too much into this, that this is an opportunity for us, even as vendors and providers of our service and so on, because part of our problem is that we have been teaching people how to treat us over the years. Correct. And they've learned by now. Correct. You understand? So whatever, we have not made any significant amount of noise and have not taken any real action.
Correct.
You understand? We have not taken any real action. I don't know, especially those persons who are in the hardware business and so on. Maybe we have come to the place now where we have to have some massive holding area. You understand?
Or even our own block in the industry.
Indeed. So there are opportunities that I believe will present themselves and is presenting themselves. And hats off to TATCO for the work that they have been doing. I went down and buy two, what do you call that fish now? We used to call that Ocean Guard. I buy two of that at $15 a pound for our food fest a couple of weeks ago. And when I told some friends of mine what I pay for it, they say, nah, something wrong. You understand? And I told them, no, you can go by TATCO and so on. And I sent people, as a matter of fact, to go and get the chicken and all that kind of thing. So, and we have to really, really salute the workers there as well for what they're doing and so on. You know, sometimes you don't get no thanks. You understand?
Yeah, you don't get thanks at every level. And I want to extend the same sentiments as you.
Yes.
And I want to make the point that a business can only survive with the strength of its workers.
Indeed.
From the top,
Indeed.
right, at every level, middle management, right, every level, it can only survive with cooperation.
Indeed.
And you have to look beyond yourself. Right? You have to think about, you are providing a service for the people of Tobago, and you are making, you know, an example, becoming an example to your family, to your extended family. You can't just think of it as I'm working for a salary, right? I don't think I can compensate someone enough. Right, for leaving their home, abandoning their dreams to work to build the dream of Tobago. So to me, there's an element of, you know, good Samaritan, sort of Samaritan involved in that.
Yeah, they live in Samaria.
Correct, because when you're working, you're actually working to build Tobago, that's the point I want to make.
Sure, agreed. So big salute to the workers down there in TATCO. You all know yourself. Right. So let's step a little further. I mean, the theme tonight is the snail battle. You know?
Correct.
The blue battle has been going on and all that kind, but we had to segue because of this serious crisis that we have going on here in Tobago. I asked the guys at the control center to put up some of the images and show a short video that you sent, and then we'll jump into the conversation. So let me ask the guys in the yes. So this is the image of the giant African snail.
Correct.
Yeah.
All right, and we're seeing some of the workers there showing, giving the description of the African snail to someone else there.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
And they usually count every time they collect.
Okay.
Right, so we're seeing high numbers, even exceeding 3,000. So you're every night.
Wow.
So you know that we may have a problem in the future if we don't take the necessary steps to control this type of pests in Tobago. Yeah.
Could we get the video, guys? Alright, so I mean, a lot of people do not they can't recognize the giant African snail. Do not know the threat that the snail presents and so on. So take us from there.
Yes.
What this snail does
So
and the impact on the environment and so on.
Right, so as you're seeing there, it's sort of reddish brown, right? And there are several ridges on it. I believe it's about 7 and plus. You'll see more than 7 ridges on it. So it is, as I would want to say, or as the old people would say, who feels it knows. And that is why, people don't see it as a pest until it gets to their premises.
Right.
And we're hoping that it doesn't.
Right.
Why? Because it eats almost 500 plant species.
Wow.
And it also, would feed on infrastructure.
What is
so
infrastructure?
Sand and gravel and yes, it could take a nibble at your property. So, we have in the very same way that we have, we would eat different foods.
Yes.
Right,
Yes.
it's the same thing with the snail, right? So that is why it's so destructive. And secondly, if you try to kill it without following the procedures, you can contribute to the spread, right, to the reproduction of the snail.
Right.
Yeah. So we are advising persons to reach out to the Division of Food Security, 639-1966, if you discover the snail in your area. And if you want to understand the steps in how to control the snail in your premises. Yeah. So you must put on your gloves first, protect yourself, right? And then you have to remember that you have to confine or contain the snail in a bucket. You put in salt solution, bleach solution, and you leave it in there for about 24 hours. And then you put it in a barrel and burn it.
Okay.
And that is how you would destroy the snail.
Okay.
Why can't you step on it? Why can't you just toss some bleach outside on it? Why can't you just throw some salt on it? Because anytime you attempt to traumatize the snail, it will release from 50 to 500 eggs automatically in the soil.
Wow.
And I told someone that today, and they said, "Wow, this must be an alien, an alien invasion."
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So talk about. So we
Yes.
we understand how critical it is
Yes.
as it relates to life, to plants and all these things, right? Tell me about livestock. Maybe animals who may consume the snail or whatever.
So it carries the rat lungworm, and that is responsible for causing that meningitis. It travels from the gut to the brain, right, and causes meningitis. So that is why it is harmful to human health.
Okay.
Yeah?
Okay.
So we are asking persons if there's a site that has been identified as, having the giant African snail, please don't drive onto the site.
Right.
Please do not cut grass to feed your animal on the site. You will be spreading the giant African snail, right? If the tires roll onto the mud,
Yes.
the eggs will get in the tires, and you will transfer it from one area to the next. You may even carry it to your home.
Right.
And if your property is infested with the giant African snail, there's a bait that you will put on the tires overnight before you leave your premises every day, so that you don't transfer the problem to someone else's premises.
No, I heard yesterday, and you could give me give the veracity of that story, that the eggs can lie dormant for a considerable amount of years.
Correct, for
Yeah.
3 years until the conditions are conducive. All right, and when I say conditions, it needs water. Yeah, so you can remain alive for up to 3 years.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So in a case where a particular area premises may be infested beyond the normal collection, the collection threshold, then, right? What do you do in that instance?
We just have to, well, we usually cordon off the site, right, to warn persons not to get in there,
Yeah.
and then the division will collect as many snails and, of course, sanitize the soil.
Okay. What amount of snails collected in an area can be deemed or should be deemed an extreme situation?
Anything over 1,005 in my personal anything over
But
1,005.
we've seen those numbers on properties already.
Oh, definitely. Even exceeding 3,000 at
Wow.
a time. Yes, so we have a committed cadre of workers
Yes.
out there at night collecting snails. But our efforts would, not be, prove, significant if everybody in Tobago, you're not vigilant, you must remain vigilant, because the idea is not to control it, but to prevent it from spreading to another area.
Right.
So
right.
when we put out the notices, whether it's social media, and we're gonna, start promoting,
Yes.
we need assistance from you, the community, right? We want you to come and volunteer. Why? Because no amount of workers the division can hire can control the snail. Think of it as COVID. Remember, we all had a personal responsibility to protect ourselves and to protect other people.
Indeed.
In this instance, we do not want to lose the battle like Trinidad, in the way that Trinidad has. They have lost the battle.
Wow.
And it would cost you as a farmer, it would cost you as a homeowner to eradicate the snail nightly. Right, you'd have to buy the bleach solution, you'd have to buy the bait, right? You'd have to actually maintain a type of lifestyle in order for you to protect your plants and your property. Right? We have had hardware owners, the hardware is infested with giant African snails.
But how that? I mean, I've heard about this eggs in the sand.
Yes, the port. We have a port, and when Trinidad is infested, so if the necessary precautions aren't taken, they're going to transfer it from Trinidad and bring it to Tobago, and that has been happening, right?
Okay.
So we did approve a task force, right, which involves the port members from the Port Authority, from 211, and other agencies, TEMA, right? So they're gonna sit and decide how they're going to treat with that issue at the port of entries. So it is a battle, and everyone must get involved.
Because
right?
I'm trying to think now. A bag of sand comes.
Correct.
How you find eggs?
Immediately contact the division, and we will do the necessary. That is why I keep stressing that under my division, it is a science. Everything is science. Because it's as simple as you stepping on a snail, automatically in that spot you release 50 to 500 eggs. So understanding the snail, everything about the snail is very important.
Right. I mean, this is such useful information, and I agree with you that this battle requires all hands on deck.
Correct.
Because there's no way you can know what's going on in Castor and Charlottesville and whatever, except somebody knows the snail one, sees it, and so on, that kind of stuff. And you don't have the manpower either.
Correct.
You understand? So this is why I think a program like this and other programs like it and all the other things that we will do, we need to heighten the awareness of the danger of it. And I will confess to you is after the last conversation in the other place we had about it that I became more knowledgeable. In fact, one of my constituents called about this. I didn't actually go to the site, but she described what can only be, to my mind, a kind of semi-infestation.
Correct.
And because she took action early, they seem to have been able to treat with that. But there are some other areas down in my constituency that have been affected and so on, and we want everybody to be vigilant.
And also in mine.
Yeah.
And, you know, if you look at the culture of Tobagonians, well, we have tropical forests, or rainforests.
Yes.
And, you know, we pride ourselves in having so many varieties, plant varieties. It scares me to think that we should have an infestation that would, you know, get rid of all our natural
the flora and fauna.
Yes, our natural flora. And you know, we pride ourselves in saying we have this in the back of our yard. We have fever grass, we have vervine, we have all kind of things, coca-lica, you know, we have all our vernacular, and, right? But once you have that snail, they will feed on everything.
Wow.
Right. They will leave none behind. Yeah.
Wow. Can you share about the reproductive cycle of the snail? Yeah.
Right. Well, as I said, what you have to remember, the key is not to traumatize the snail. Don't hit it. Don't attempt to burn it out there in the wild. Don't you know, throw salt on it or any sort of trauma at all. Even as it relates to that food chain, right? We like to think that if we introduce pests, right? It's natural predator, right? I say pests, right? Because, you know, some of us look at possums and other things as pests, right? But if you introduce its natural predator, right? People are saying, oh, that would get rid of the snail, but no, you cannot tell a possum or a bird, for example, just eat snails.
Right. You could try, but you
could try, but you wouldn't succeed.
Yes.
So if you look at, you know, the connection with the ecosystem, its natural predators and all of that, right? The best way for us, the science has proven, it is to collect the snails, right? An adult grows to about 3 inches. It has to be about 3 inches and more to be an adult, right? But the most important part is do not traumatize the snail so that it would reproduce, right? It will release its eggs into the wild. And if you count 50 to 500 eggs per snail, just imagine after collecting 3,000, if you step on 3,000 snails, how many eggs you would have released into the soil.
Wow. So, viewers, those of you on this live and stuff here tonight, you need to share this information and let that information get to your friends and family members, because this really is a danger to all of us, right? We really pride ourselves, as Secretary said, in our green and serene, and so on, and the information. When you are informed, you are better, or you should be better able to perform. So this is why I think that I thought it was necessary for us to have this program tonight, because of how important this discussion is, and so on. And so we need to make sure that we are vigilant and all of that. All of us have to be on board with this fight. Is there anything else you want to say about this?
About the snail?
The snail, yeah.
Please do not try to put it in the river or anything like that, into the trash, right? Do exactly as we say. Put your gloves on, contain it or confine it. Throw the bleach solution with the water, salt solution with the water, leave it for 24 hours, then you put it into a barrel and you burn it. Right? That method is effective.
It's effective.
Right?
Good.
But you can't eat it, you know.
But Secretary, you're playing your teeth in my head, man. I mean, after we just said it, I mean, I know that we eat some kind of thing, because like Aki, for instance, if they say if it's not cooked properly, it can kill you, and people still eat it and whatever.
Lionfish
and all that. But it, my brain gone far left. to come back. But for those who are that risky, how do you prepare the giant African snail as a delicacy?
And that's the thing. I recently learned that chefs are trying to prepare it in a safe way for persons to eat. But I would have to decline.
Yeah, but there's so much other things in the world to eat.
Well, you don't know how sweet it is.
I mean, the truth is, we've always had this taboo about the Chinese or people from Asia, the different things they eat and all that kind of stuff. And I'm telling you, I have a friend who is a missionary in China and came back and just had some photos of one of the markets that they went to and so on. And I was like, I couldn't believe it. They eat everything that we normally eat, plus an extensive amount of other things. You understand? And I mean, to each his own. But I guess that is the diet culture in some of these places and so on. You see some things that I sometimes think that I am liberal, but it have a cutoff point that's something. And I think snail, based on what we know about the snail and all of that, although you never say never, you understand
Correct.
what I'm saying? You might go someplace and something prepared for you and you bless it and blaze it, and then after they tell you it's African snail you eat and that kind of stuff. But all things being equal, we really want the word to get out that this is a crisis situation, that we need to be vigilant to make sure that we do not have an infestation on the island of Tobago. Everybody need to get on board. I'm asking them to put up the pictures again so you can know that this is what the giant African snail looks like.
Yes.
You understand? Because we have some other snails,
Right.
the white shell one and all that kind of thing.
Correct. But I want to make the point that a lot of persons raised the issue of moving the World Food Day from the parade grounds to the Shore Park Food Hub. But I want Tobagonians to understand that we are a caring administration.
Yes.
And it is my responsibility as the secretary, if I am aware of the threats posed by the giant African snail, to remove all activities within the vicinity of an infested area. So that is why we moved it to the Shore Park Food Hub. We separated the horticultural aspect from the World Food Day, so that will be hosted on a different day. We'll be visiting all the vendors, ensuring that we treat all the plants that the vendors gonna come to the horticultural show with, to ensure that we do not transmit the snail itself to any other premises.
And that is ultra responsible.
Correct.
You understand?
Yes.
And
so we'll be using the entire food hub area, even the car park, and we will allow patrons to park at the Shore Park Cultural Complex. So please participate in the activities, knowing that the division is trying to protect you and your household.
Right. Because I know that the Bacolod area, that there is some infestation in that.
Yes, in the Frenchfield area.
In the Frenchfield area, and so that is reasonable. It is responsible. It is the proper thing to do. So that is the reason. So we will, as we segued it, that is what we're going into now to talk about. We had a launch of World Food Day on Sunday last week, and all that, and World Food Day is a thing that I really enjoy.
Yes.
And so many other Tobagonians. So let's talk about the offerings this year. I know there are a couple other things that has been added to the thing. So
correct. So water is life, water is food, leave no one behind. And what we introduced this year is a host of activities that would embrace a lot of the other stakeholders. So the livestock industry, it has been non-existent for quite a while. And to jumpstart the industry, we decided to support the Lamb Festival, which would be held on October 8th at the Shore Park Food Hub.
Okay.
Now, mutton is not really something that we prepare daily or even for a Sunday lunch.
That's true.
Yeah? So we have to expose the restaurants, people out there, the hotel owners, everyone in the space. We want to show them the different ways that lamb could be prepared.
Right.
And I was giving this story earlier today at another interview where I took a friend to the smokehouse that's in the Orange Hill Link Road there. And she asked, what should I buy? And I said, try the lamb. She said, "You sure? Because you know pork ribs is something popular."
Yes,
And I said,
yes.
no, try the lamb. And when she tried that lamb, she called me, she said, "Secretary, plantain is the best meat
Yes.
I've eaten in a while."
Yes.
So we want to show Tobagonians how tasty lamb can be in all different forms.
And I wonder, I don't know what are your thoughts on it, but as you're saying it now, I mean, it's not something that you readily go into the grocery and find.
Correct.
You know, you don't go to a home and here they say they cook lamb. That kind of thing. And you have so much sheep and thing around. So what do you think has been responsible for the minimal exposure?
The minimal exposure. This is not evidence. This is just my opinion.
Right.
Right. Usually the sheep van would come up from Trinidad and collect sheep.
Right.
Yeah. And I think our farmers just look forward to that. Or they just even sell it off and buy the school books.
Right,
you know. So they don't really look at preparing lamb really.
Right.
And Trinidadians would just capitalize on it.
Yeah, they go down
they make a steal of a
and
deal.
the lamb come back up.
So here what we're gonna do.
Yes.
Right. So once we expose the Begonians, you know, to this beautiful meat, this wonderful meat that I now enjoy. Yeah. We want to identify the market locally. And once we bring farmers up to capacity in terms of volume. Now, if you have 2 and 3 sheep, that is not a commercial enterprise.
Right,
that is a home garden.
Of course.
So the conversation with you would be different.
Yes.
But if you want to farm commercially, we want to increase your volume so that you can supply lamb to the Tobago market.
Yes.
And the spillover we will export.
Right.
Yeah?
So what you're saying is the division is prepared to take the meat off the hands of the farmers.
Well, that's what we did for the Lamb Festival. We ensure that we source all the lambs. There's a criteria, of course. We continue to promote agriculture as a science. So we had our veterinary doctor, Dr. Crooks.
Yes.
Right? He did the assessment of the lambs so that we identify good meat.
Yes.
Yeah. We had our master butcher training, right, yesterday and today.
Right.
So not only lamb, but, you know, all other meats to show them how to do the specialty cuts.
Right.
Yeah, and we will have a successful lamb fest using our local lambs here, right? And we supported all the Tobago farmers.
Right. I mean, I am excited. I sharpened up my teeth and thing, and so on, too. Because I mean, you know, there are some things you hear it, and you say, but you know, you just never thought about something like I've never heard about a lamb festival anywhere.
Correct.
As it should.
And when you're coming up on the plane, you notice in these magazines, you would see, you know, festivals from Grenada. There's a chocolate festival. You see the mango festival. If we could get this festival into the magazines, when people travel, they see that Tobago has a lamb festival.
Yes.
Eventually, we will have the world coming to Tobago to experience, and Tobagonians can cook.
That's true.
Right? So I know for sure that this lamb festival will score.
Yeah. I am very, very excited about it. And, you know, and all of you who are here, you on the live and who viewing the program tonight, you must ready yourself for the first ever lamb festival. And I suspect that this will become a signature event.
Correct.
And we give all props to TATCO and the division for the initiative and the innovation.
Yes, and the Tobago Integrated Livestock Association. They are working together with us to ensure that we have a perfect product that represents us as a Tobago people.
Right. Well, and let's talk about the support that the THA gives, because of course I'm sure you will have farmers who have the desire and they may need infrastructural support and that kind of thing, because we really want, we move into what sustainability.
Correct.
That is part of your mandate.
Correct.
So I keep saying that we want to provide an environment for everybody to thrive. So in this case, for the farmers, those that are doing ruminants and other livestock and poultry and that kind of stuff, we provide in the environment. How has that experience been thus far in working with these farmers and so on?
Right, and I like to be honest. When you look at what the division gets for development, it's just a little over 24 million thereabout. And that is nothing to really support the agricultural industry in terms of infrastructure. So a lot of the demands coming from the industry itself, it's a lot of pressure, right? But we just don't have the size of allocation that is necessary. However, we have found a way to achieve sustainability as it relates to production. Yeah. So while I've inherited everything run down from the last administration, right, we have focused on the production end of things, right? While we, trying our best to maneuver the financial challenges with the infrastructure, but I believe that the production side is the most important aspect of it. Because as you see, with this inter-island, just this short time that we're going to experience with this inter-island ferry, food was an issue.
Yes.
And we should be able to feed ourselves. It doesn't look good to the world that we are saying we have no food here to eat. Why don't you have food? We have excellent farmers. And that is why we're going to build out an agribusiness center, right, to hold people's hands. Right, the division has been exploring, different avenues to get money. We have been writing for international funding. We have been, and for the most part, that is what has been happening, right? We have been writing for funding. So why not, bring the individual farmer, the individual fisherman, the associations, bring them up to speed in terms of capacity, right? Empower them through the agribusiness center so that they qualify for these grants. So that is why we're building that out, extending the incentives unit so that we finally treat agriculture as what it's supposed to be, both a science and a business. If you're a home gardener, right, the conversation is different for you. We have support for you. But if you want to go into commercial farming, we are encouraging farmers to sign up with the Agribusiness Center and become an entrepreneur, become a businessman, because that is what we campaigned on here. Right. So we want to build the individual farmer, bring him to a businessman so that he can conduct business with any entity here and across the region.
Good. I'm going to ask you this question and then we'll take a break and come back. Do you think, Secretary, that Tobago, that we have developed an appetite for importation? We are suffering from a food import syndrome?
I can tell you that yes, to some extent, but I can also tell you that if we capitalize on what we have here locally, because when I ate that lamb at Smokehouse, I have been going back to Smokehouse. They can tell you that. And when I can't make it, I send my husband or someone else. So I can tell you that we have good cooks, good chefs here, right? We may need training in terms of processing and adhering to international standards in order to export. But we have the knowledge here. And once we work with the technical officers and we understand that there are standards involved in both planting and processing and even in distribution, then we can get on the international market. We can get on the regional market, into the regional market.
I mean, this is so is so refreshing. And I'm back to the point that we made earlier, that even in the midst of what can be deemed evil, good can emerge.
Correct.
You understand?
Correct.
Every situation, good, bad, or indifferent, presents an opportunity.
Correct.
You understand?
And I remember someone standing in front of a man's cornfield and saying, "Why should I buy the corn?" But anyone that understands agriculture, for you to maintain a constant supply of a product, right? You know that a one-off crop cannot sustain a market. If we have to provide corn to a hotel, for example, and you just plant one field of corn.
Yes.
But you don't come together, and when we come back, I'm sure we're going to discuss that mega farming thing. Right?
Yes.
You'll understand that, volume is important once you're doing business. So all those tricky little politics, they're here and there. Once you stay focused, we can improve agriculture in Tobago. And we've seen it, we have seen it. Look at the Poultry Contract Farm Initiative.
Yes. And I believe that circumstances sometimes force us to change.
Correct.
Human beings, naturally, we have the capacity to adapt if we want to. You understand? And so, in hindsight now, and we've said this on this program before, that the experiences that we have had in the last few months brings us face to face with ourselves.
Correct.
You understand? Helping us to understand that nobody is going to do this for you. You gotta do this for yourself. Correct. You understand? This is about self-actualization. This is about you finding your place in the world, carving out the destiny that you see. I mean, we are thankful for the leadership of the Chief Secretary, kind of giving, leading from the front, if you put it that way, the utterances and so on, and the policies that we have as an administration. But we are trying to get every Tobagonian on board. That there's a place for you right here. There's a role for you to play. There is something that you can contribute to the whole. And hence we have programs like these and so on. So what we're going to do now, we're going to take a break and then we'll come back and we'll talk about the mega farms and some other things that's happening at the division. All right? So stay there. As Julian was saying in the morning, share the life.
Everybody only worrying. Never ever worry. Don't mind how things looking hard. I tell them never ever worry. If your nice can't get damaged bad. I tell them never ever worry. What I'm saying is true. So just consider Tatil is always right here for you. I tell them never ever worry. Don't mind if life make you sad. I tell them never ever worry. If your house get flooded out real bad. I tell them never ever worry. What I'm saying is true. So just consider Tatil is always right here for you. I tell them never ever worry. If sickness catch you off guard. I tell them never ever worry. If times fall on you real hard. I tell them never ever worry. What I'm saying is true. So just consider Tatil will always be here for you. Never worry about a thing. Tatil, where people are people. You know what I mean.
Jimmy's Holiday Resorts has 1, 2, and 3 bedroom, fully self-contained apartments located at the heart of Crown Point. Minutes walk to the popular beaches, restaurants, bars, and the airport. Enjoy our amazing amenities such as fully equipped apartments, complete with Wi-Fi, AC, TV, and a pool, and a mini-mart on the compound. Call 639-8292 or 8929. Jimmy's Holiday Resorts is your family's home away from home.
Won't somebody just scream, revive us!
Glow Nation on Saturday, 16th September. Experience a revival featuring Grammy Award winner Ty Tribbett and his full band. Glow Fest, all at Sure Park Complex, Tobago, alongside Ezekiel, Chantel Lindsay, Gates Praise, Mark Isaacs, and Blessed Messenger. Showtime 6 p.m. Doors open at 5 p.m. Early bird tickets $200. Group of 10 pay $250 each. General admission $300. At the door $350. Children under 10 free. Tickets available at Sure Park Complex box office. Dominion Appliances, Scipio Trace Canby, Pablo's Supermarket Argyle, Diesel's Tile and Ceiling Center, Bon Accord, Isaac 98.1 FM, Port of Spain, Ario Auto El Socorro, Evansa Jewelers Chaguanas, and online at tovatickets.com. For more info, follow Glow Entertainment TT on Facebook and Instagram. On Saturday, 16th September, Sure Park Complex, Tobago. The revival is coming. A praise and worship encounter. Experience the worship. Experience the praise. Glow Fest.
Wait, I do even have suit and thing for this wedding. Why getting them thing?
Gonna put my right over there.
Alright, thanks.
The Port Mall, where the varieties are large from your favorite stores, from restaurants to salons and from clothing stores to jewelry stores, located at Sanctus Hill, Scarborough, Tobago. Telephone number is 868-334-6589.
Wow. I didn't expect to see you here. Look good.
Thanks. It's all because of you and Port Mall. But here now I'm going to talk with you. You want to join me?
Yeah, that's okay.
Alright.
Beat the rush and come on down to the Port Mall.
Welcome back. If you're now joining us, this is Full Disclosure here on Tobago Updates, and we've been having a very, 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 very informative conversation with the Venerable Natisha Charles Pantin, hard-working in the division that has the longest name in the history of the THA. But we just call it agriculture and fisheries and whatever else we remember. But Sec, I mean, the division is always doing something. I mean, always. And let's jump off now talking about the mega farm initiative that the division is working towards at this point.
Okay, so I'll give you just a preliminary, look into everything. Mm-hmm. Now, when you think about mega farm, mm-hmm. you think about clearing massive amounts of land and, just giving spots to farmers. But I'll tell you what would be the error in doing that. Mm-hmm. First of all, because of my background, I am very particular with the environment. Mm-hmm. So whatever efforts that we embark on, it must be married mm-hmm. with protecting the environment. Right. First of all, so I tweaked the concept of mega farm to mega farming, mm-hmm. right, for several reasons, but I'll just give you a few tonight. Mm-hmm. So we are in the process of identifying lands to do mega farming, but the mega farming concept is actually one where you will be giving contracts to farmers to produce crops or livestock. Mm-hmm. Yeah? So you don't have to be within the zone demarcated for the mega farm. Okay. You can be a farmer, you have your own property, but you can engage in a contract with TADCO or under my division, mm-hmm. and you can produce crops or rare livestock and supply it.
All right, so let me understand you. So you're saying that instead of just saying a mega farm, which is a stationary,
correct,
a stationary
yes. And
plant,
monoculture,
right?
You think it's just a massive amount of land with just cabbage alone,
right?
But you can meet the volume mm-hmm. of produce by making a connection with several farmers,
right,
correct,
okay,
and achieve the volumes that you want.
Right,
so you can have land mm-hmm. that you can bring under farming, mm-hmm. under contract.
All right, so let me ask you this now. So this central plant, because you have a plant somewhere,
yes,
right?
Yes,
but not as we normally will envision a massive
correct. Spread. I will be marrying,
right.
environmental,
right.
little strategies. For example, renewable energy. Mm-hmm. We're going to look at our, water, because what, the politics of old would have done is just give you the land, mm-hmm. and then here what? You're going to come back to ask for the water.
Yes.
Then you're going to come back and ask for the light.
Yeah.
You're going to come back and ask for the access. It's a lot. And by the time you get all the infrastructure you need, we have not focused on production.
Indeed. And many years have passed.
And many years would have passed.
Yes.
So you want to move away from that, ineffective model.
Yes.
And build farm models mm-hmm. that embrace renewable energy, embrace different aspects of environment, of protecting the environment, as well as being able to farm. So we're going to farm the environmental way. Let's put it like that.
Right,
yeah.
right.
But you will sign a contract stating that you will produce X amount.
Okay.
Right? Of produce or a particular livestock, yeah, and supply it to TADCO. Why? Because we have to think about agriculture along the entire chain, right?
Yes.
We have to think about it in terms of production, processing, and distribution.
Yes.
It's not about, I just plant some dasheen and I want to sell it to you. We have to give you the technical knowledge on how to plant it,
Yes.
what you're planting,
Right.
the varieties,
Right.
everything you're going to get, the knowledge.
Yeah, you can't
You're
no
going to
guesswork.
be
You
no
can't be
guesswork.
investment you're making.
It's an investment,
Yes.
and you will be under our agribusiness center as well. You'll be signing up there.
Yes.
So we want to ensure success by equipping you
Yes.
with the necessary resources,
Got you.
the
Got you.
knowledge,
Got you.
the funding, so that you're able to have a successful farm
Right,
enterprise.
right, right. So let me ask you this. So the central, the main plan, the hub, if you call it that, will there be like one particular type of crop or you'll have several in that area?
Right.
And then you have these satellites that will connect. What will be happening in the main hub?
LiDAR survey.
Yes.
So when you survey, you will identify land for different purposes. So I'll give you an example. We may not put mixed crops in Hope, for example. We may want to focus livestock or poultry, but we'll have to put different things in to ensure that you don't have any sort of mixing of animals.
Okay.
Because if a disease breaks
Got
out
you.
one area
Got you.
and it comes in on this area,
Got
then
you.
you'll have to.
Yeah, right.
Yeah?
Right.
So that's why I keep saying agriculture is a business and a
And a
science.
science, yes.
Remember that. So we have to take a lot of factors into consideration when we're building out the farms to ensure that one farm doesn't affect the other.
Right.
And also to embrace the farming community across the Tobago landscape by ensuring that they can also participate in the mega farming project.
Right. Now that's it's an interesting idea. And it is the first time I've heard the terminology. You always hear about mega farms and so on. And the concept is very innovative. And we think about the potential in the Tobago space, regardless of, you get a little negatives here and there. But the times are saying to us that you have to do these things.
You have to do these things.
And notwithstanding the leadership that you have to give, because your division is about sustainable development.
Sustainable environment and environmental protection,
Yes.
So you can't compromise the environment
Right.
while you're trying to increase food production on the island. So we have to ensure that we, consider what happens in every local context.
Yes.
When we look at the Kendall farm, we have to look at, what happens there. We have to look at the surrounding forest reserve. We have to put everything into context wherever we're going to build these farms. Right, to ensure that we marry both the environment and agriculture in one. Yeah, but the concept it's a new thing.
Yes.
But we want to ensure success as much as possible. So we have our technical team. While we wait on just the different structures to come together, right? We're still thinking about how best we can put all of these things together. Yeah, so that we have a successful mega farming project.
Right. What do you see in your crystal ball?
What do I see?
Yeah,
Well, I'll tell you something.
With what you're trying to do, you understand, in the next 2 years, 3 years, and so on.
We like to do a lot of pilot projects. And the reason for this is to ensure that even if something fails, that we don't waste resources in doing something massive. Yeah? So with the Poultry Contract Farm Initiative, we did a pilot. So we started off farmers with 100 chickens, then we moved to those that took care of the 100, we moved them to 500, then 1,000, then they're producing over 3,000 naturally.
Realizes Bible here, one man had 5 talents, 2 talents, and more than whatever.
Right, so
and the man who dig it, put it in the earth, you move on from here again, the next one who had to.
Correct, same principle apply,
yes,
right?
Yes,
so that is why we like doing pilots, to ensure that we get it, I mean, close to correct, right. Because it also involves, you know, the farmer holding fast to the contract, so that is why all the things that we give to the farmer should be, you know, make him ready to farm, and that is why we have to focus on the production side of things now, and understand that it's not just about I'm going to raise something and give it to you, but getting the technical knowledge, so that your produce that you give to us, that it is in good condition, you know, that it lasts long, you know, we can give you the technical knowledge through TADCO and all these things that we're doing. The master butcher training, you know, people are accustomed cutting the meat how they want, but the master butcher training will train you how to do specialty cut. You see the finesse in it?
Yes. Just the way you say it.
Right? So everything is science. And that is why the division is it's equipped to give you the knowledge that you need to be a successful farmer.
Indeed. Now, in yesteryears, maybe not even far back, there's been a lamentation that, you know, you're not seeing continuity in the enthusiasm for younger people to engage in farming and that kind of thing. I mean, since you took the reins, what have you been seeing in terms of people getting involved and then enthusiasm to engage in farming and so on?
Traditionally, people would look at farming as, you know, punishment. You know, you can't study your book, so go outside and see if you could chuck 2 things inside the hole. And see if it grew and you could sell it. Right. So with that type of mentality, people never really rated, you know, gave agriculture the rate it should have been given.
Right.
And it is a science, as every other science, and should have been treated as such. Now you're seeing that because of bad, I would want to say bad or poor management. Right, where they made agriculture difficult. Giving a man a piece of land and saying, you finally have land, go and plant. It is not enough. Because he cannot afford to put in infrastructure that is needed to focus on production. So in looking at that, the young people would say, you know what, agriculture hard. So you have them coming to you saying, I want an early morning work. But really and truly, you can make a lot of money from agriculture. I like to tell the young people, without giving them the figures, because the crew on the Capital of Paradise don't want me to tell nobody what they're making. But I am saying to them, right, these people who are on the Capital of Paradise not working for $5,000 a month. Right? And it isn't sustainable for you to work for $5,000 a month, because if you have children, you build out a family, you want, you know, your own home, you want your own vehicle, you would see that, you know, you sink deeper and deeper into debt, and then you have to come back by the assemblyman. You have to go and ask, you know, run your taxi. But if you have a natural affinity to agriculture, don't compromise that to work early in the morning. We will try our very best to embrace you in the proper way, right? And try not to politicize food. We won't do it. We'll try to do the right thing. So that when you get involved in agriculture, I've seen a young man, if you see the type of lettuce and other leafy crops that he grows through hydroponics, right, in the back of his yard. Yes, I just I owe you that. But if you look at the talent of the young people, the only thing discouraging them is that they don't have this necessary support. And I wish I could do it overnight, but I cannot. Right? We need resources and everything to do what we have to do. But you must equip the young people to show them that while it is a challenge, right? Because you have to understand the science of it. you can get into it because we created the space and you have the basic amenities that you need, the factors for production in order to engage in commercial farming. Now, if you want to be a home gardener, that's okay, right? You can supplement your food at home by growing a successful home garden. We have almost 1,000 registered home gardeners, and you will receive the support. But if you want to go into commercial farming, you need to come on board with us to show you the technical aspect of it so that you're a successful farmer.
Got you. You know, early on in the year, I went to Jamaica. That thing changed it changed me. I mean, and it also spoke volumes to the ability and the undauntedness of the human spirit. They took us on this visit to visit a farm, and so we went and so on. So in my mind, a farm, you think, because we are accustomed to flat terrain and whatever, and so when we got there, we had to go down a hill, and we go down this hill, and if I can use my imagination, it's like you're on the top of Charlottesville and you're coming down to that steep corner, but you're going down that kind of, and while I'm going down, you see the lettuce, the kale, the cabbage and all that, but you see these crops going, and what I noticed, the heavier crops, pumpkin and plantain and everything, down to the bottom of the property. So I asked the man, he alone, he have almost all this, whether it's side, whatever, he have all them things. And then he have a section to the bottom of the property, closer to the river, where you have the pumpkin, the plantains, the bananas. And so I asked this man, I said, how you get this thing up on top of the hill? The man say, I just put it in a bag on my head and walk to the top of the hill.
You see?
He alone. And if you see the topography, and I say, you know, we have in Tobago, most of the spaces is flat. You understand? It's no road to I asked him, I said, well, when rain fall, how you make it?
You see?
You understand? So I think a part of the thing, as you really see, if you really have the niche, the heart and the desire to get it, and there always is a way, and maybe there is application there for what we're talking about with this Tobago scenario in general, if you really want to find a way, you will find a way.
Correct.
You understand? And all these things that we are facing now is not to get us depressed and frustrated, but us to sit down, you know, with ourselves and turn off some of the distractions and see how we get around this thing, because we will not be stopped. We will not be stopped.
Correct. If you look at Paramin, you know, just in Trinidad, that's a seasoning village.
Indeed.
And it's hillside.
Indeed. I see a man up in Paramin. I went up to Paramin. I'm telling you, I see this man selling sea moss by the side of the road. Selling sea moss, he has one leg. So I asked him, I said, well, who's bringing the sea moss? The man tell me, he is go and dive the sea moss himself. You know? So sometimes you see these things and you tell yourself, once human beings make up their mind to get, and we see it all the time on television and wherever, you know, people that we may deem to be incapacitated in some way, facing some kind of trauma, some kind of disadvantage, but still finding a way. And maybe the message on this program tonight to all of us here in Tobago, regardless of all we're saying, whether we have problem with Caribbean Airlines, we have problem with the port, we have problems with licensing officers, we have problems with police, whatever it is, whatever the problem is, whatever you deem to be a legitimate problem, there is a solution. There is a way, as a human being, if you sit down, that you can come up with some kind of plan to take you to the place that you want to go to.
Correct. And there are no shortcuts as it relates to agriculture. Indeed. I want to make that clear, right? So if you're farming chickens, you can't say, well, all right, I will leave the chickens and them to starve for overnight because I had to go and party.
Yes.
Right? Next day you come back, you will have a disaster.
Sure.
There are no shortcuts with agriculture.
Yes. Yes.
So you have to remain committed when coming to agriculture. Otherwise, you wouldn't achieve your goal.
Yes.
So even though we give you the resources, you have your role to play. There, you have a personal responsibility.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that is why we're going to engage in contract farming using that whole mega farming model. Yeah. So I think I said a lot about that model. Like I was supposed to just tell you just a little bit.
It's you know, and the information is refreshing and enlightening, and even responses from people that are on the live thing here have a deep appreciation for the information. We have a few more minutes remaining, Secretary. We just want to talk about the date for the food fest, for the World Food Day,
yes.
and so on, and any other thing that you want to share with the viewers before we close.
Well, I want persons to remember that the Lamb Fest especially is the 8th of October.
Yes.
That's a Sunday, right? It is starting at 10 a.m. and finishing 6 p.m. Be there.
Yes.
World Food Day, that's the 18th and 19th of October, the same venue, Shore Park Food Hub. We're going to use the entire space, even the car park, the grass area. So don't worry about space. We measured it. We use our we using science.
Science.
And the car park will be at the Shore Park Cultural Complex. Right? We have a host of other activities. We have livestock competitions that will embrace women. We have a lot of activities embracing children, like spoken word and all these things. Follow the divisions page and you will see all the activities. Right? So we want to reduce the inequality that exists between women, you know, female farmers and fisher folk and all of that. So we want to reduce the inequalities. We'll continue to work towards that and to include more women into a lot of the activities and children as well. Right? I want to say thank you to all the hard-working technical officers, middle management, every worker that signed on as the Chief Secretary called all of us together. He said the competent and the willing. So I want to thank all of those persons, supporters who continue to work hard as well. I want to say thank you. Right? We cannot do it without your support. So we want everyone to come on board. If it's not too late, you can come on board, right? If you want to contribute to the development of your island, because we want to make this island the greatest little island on the planet.
Indeed. Now, the next few minutes, we are talking a little politics before we go. We are and all the guests that have come, we had at least a brief conversation about the launch of the new the Tobago People's Party and so on, and what are your thoughts on the launch and the work we're trying to do to build the organization and so on, and the impact that you think that would have on the Tobago landscape and so on? What are your thoughts?
I am happy for this new party. I'm happy that, you know, Tobagonians want more for themselves. They see this administration working, and they want us to succeed. We are on the right path. I believe so. I believe that God brought this team together for a reason. And once we remain focused and remain together, we can achieve good things for Tobago. But I felt the energy of the people, and that is what I focus mostly on, the energy of the people, how they embrace the administration. And as I always tell people, sometimes when you hear the criticism, there's something in economics called useful criticism. You take away what you have to take away from the criticism, the positive, things that you can learn from. And sometimes somebody, when they criticize you, you actually hear what they do not know. So it is an opportunity for you to educate as well. So you have education both ways, right? So I am feeling the energy. So whether you have the negative criticism, take what's useful in it, right? But the positive ones, we embrace it, and we'll continue to move on with the business of Tobagonians. Yeah?
Yes, and Roxborough, we coming. Roxborough.
We come
so,
in.
We coming up in the east.
East
and
side.
So on. Yeah, east side. You know that. We coming very, very, very soon. This has been, Secretary, a very, very, I mean, all the programs, because we discussed different things and so on, have their own niche and their own appeal.
Yes.
And a lot of the people on here tonight, some of them, I suspect, have the propensity to engage in farming, or that's something that fascinates them and something they have an interest in and so on. Information is a powerful thing.
It is.
You understand? And I am glad that you were able to make it tonight, that we are much more informed about the giant African snail and the threat that it poses in the space that we call Tobago, and we want all our viewers and so on to remember the information that Secretary Pantin gave us. Please share the live for those who you think this information would assist as well. In fact, everybody on here, I would want to ask you humbly if you would be so kind to share this when we come off here, share it at least once, you know, so that more people could get the information, because of how important the information is. We are talking about our sustainability. We are talking about us being poised to take care of ourselves, and these things that are happening to us, we continue to see these negative things that we are experiencing must be the impetus that drives us to accomplishing what we want to accomplish. I'm saying it again, we cannot be stopped. We must not be stopped. And this is not an arrogant saying, you understand? It has the underpinnings of a belief that we in this place for a time like this, and God is the one that have us here. He's the one that set up and he's the one that pulled down. So Secretary P, thank you so much for coming on and for sharing with us tonight.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, and I believe that Tobago is for the better. All the persons that joined us tonight have been informed, edified, and so on. And we're getting ready for the Lamb Fest on the
8th of October.
The 8th of October.
Yes.
You understand?
Come hungry and leave happy.
Yeah, I like that. I like that, you know. That's a tagline right there. That's the tagline right there, Secretary. And that is the tagline for them people doing the advertising. Come hungry and leave happy. I like that. So, viewers, thank you so much for joining us for another program. We trust that you will stay safe. God bless you. And we look forward to having another program perhaps next week. Take care of yourself. All right? Look out for the giant African snail and do the needful. All right? God bless you. We'll talk again soon. Bye-bye.